Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss to create a EC2 instance and EBS volume via AWS Console and how we can attach EBS volume to the existing EC2 instance. We are going to learn in this video. And here I'm going to discuss few more questions regarding the EC2 and the EBS. Maybe the interviewer will ask in your interview some actual scenarios questions, actual environment questions. Okay, so the first question maybe the interviewer will ask in your interview that what is EC2? How you can explain the EC2 instance? What is the EBS? What is auto scaling in EC2? Okay, and what is the EC2 categories? There's a multiple category in EC2. Okay, there is a snapshot questions. Okay, the most important questions: how you can monitor your EC2 instance. The most important part. You already create a EC2 instance, but if you don't know how you can monitor your EC2 instance, then it's a difficult task. Okay, so let's jump to the GUI AWS console and let's create a EC2 instance. EC2 instance here. So what you do, just click on AWS, just log in on AWS and click on instance. And here is the option that is a launch instance. You can obviously there's a different steps, but easily you can click on the launch instance. Okay, and the first that is a name and tag. You can give any name. You can tag any name. Okay, you can give your name. So here I'm just providing a name like testing. Okay, so the testing, and there is a some application and the OS image, that is the Amazon machine image. We can call as AMI. So interview in interview the interviewer ask what is AMI? What is AMI? Why we are using AMI? Okay, Amazon machine image. I will explain in the next video. And AMI contains the operating system. What AMI contains? AMI contains the operating system, application server, applications for your instance, for your EC2. Okay, so AMI use, you can more information through the Google. There are multiple images. That's the default image. Amazon Linux, okay, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, SUSE Linux. Okay, so I'm going to create for the Windows machine. If you want to create for the Windows machine, then just click on the Windows AMI. Here's some questions. Some of your current setting will be changed or removed if you proceed. So before proceeding, you will verify your existing setting. Okay, details, old AMI and custom AMI, they have removed. Click on confirm. So I'm going to create Microsoft Windows Server 2025 base. What we get here, let me click on anywhere. Okay, there's a multiple. So I have selected this one, 64-bit. Okay, there's a multiple AMIs. What's the instance type here? T2, sorry, not T2, T3 micro. There is a family. T3, T4, something. Okay, 2 CPU core, 1 GB memory. Current generation is true. On demand, Ubuntu, SUSE, base pricing. Okay, here's everything. The second thing is key pair. How you can log in your EC2. So you need to create a key pair. That's the requirement statement. You can proceed with the default, but it's not recommended by the AWS. Okay, create a new pair. You can give any name. I'm just giving the testing one. Okay, create on key pair. So it's what is the use of key pair? To log in that EC2 instance. Network setting, you can use a default network setting if you don't have any your own. Allow the RDP anywhere there is a range. You can provide the custom IP, you can provide the open. And open for all, that means you can anyone can log in that EC2 instance. Okay. What is the configuration storage? I'm just going to create a first 8 GB because there is some limitation. So I'm just typing the 8. So volume is smaller than a snapshot must be at least 30. Okay. Let me provide 30. Add new volume. You can add new volumes as well. Then launch. Then just click on the launch instance. If any errors, then it's appear here. Okay. I think it will take 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. It's created now. Just click on that instance. That's your instance ID. That your EC2 instance ID. Okay. Click on that instance. Updating. It's updating now. It will take maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but it's I think it's completed. Okay. Go to your EC2. Click on the instance. Here you see that the testing instance ID and its state is running. What is the family of this EC2? That is the T3.micro. Its state is initializing. There is a two check. Okay, we generally called as 2 by 2 check. Okay, let's wait for the few minutes. What is the availability zone here? US East 1 D. Okay, US East 1 D, public DNS, public everything is here. Currently, the monitoring is disabled, but when we are going to learn about how we can monitor our EC2, then I will enable this monitoring and show how we can how we can monitor this EC2 through our CW, the CloudWatch matrix. Okay. Key name, here's the key name I provided at the time of creation. Launch time, you can definitely the launch time. What's the platform? What's the platform? Platform, that means you are creating this EC2 for the Windows, for the Linux machine. Okay, that's the platform means here. One is AWS. Okay, when you click on EC2, I think there's 2 by 2 check is not passed yet. Let me refresh this page again. Just hold on for 2 Okay, it is still in initializing state. I will explain why it is in initializing state, because there are some some operations we are at the background happening. Okay, just scroll down. Let me scroll up little bit up. Oh, I think it's not working. Okay, hold on. Click on storage. So where is okay? Just there's two volumes. This one is 30 is the root volume. Second is the data volume. Okay. Keep in mind when you creating any EC2 instance, then there is a one root volume is always created. Okay, and the device name is always dev sda1. It will not change. It's the question for our exam as well, certification exam as well. Okay, so by the default value of the any C drive, any root volume is dev sda. It will not change, but the data volume name will change always. You can select random as well. Okay, let me explain here one more key concept here. There is a key concept, that is one is the delete on termination. Okay, so what is delete on termination do here? When you are going to terminate your EC2, okay, when you are going to terminate your EC2, if the volume have this specific years, then all the volumes will decom at the time of termination. But the volume is have the attributes as no, then when you are going to terminate your EC2, then that volume will not decom. You can check and remove it manually. Why I'm focusing on this component delete or termination, because in many AWS environment, in many organization, delete on termination by default selected as no. And what's the cause after that? When we are going to terminate our EC2, EC2 will terminate. EC2 will delete from your console, but the attached volume will not delete it. Then what's the impact of our organization or our AWS account? So the um, price is uh, increasing exponentially. That means you are not using that volume that is ending with a 3836, but you paying for this volume for the 8 GB. I'm just talking about the cost perspective. Got it? So when you are creating, then keep in mind that the second volume have the delete or termination attributes should be as. Got it? Let me refresh this page. Almost 3 minutes gone. Okay. Sorry, it's a 3 by 3 check pass now. It's my fault. Okay. When you click on the details, there is a some. It's running public DNS, host name. Okay. Sometimes the interviewer asks there for the can you tell me about the instance family? Do you just tell me them? Just giving the answer that the family of the EC2, that the EC, they are talking about the EC2, not EC2, they're just talking about the instance type. Don't be confused at the time of interview. Okay, there's a AMI, what MI we are using at the backend. Okay, key pair, everything you are found in the details. There is a multiple option. Status and I will discuss system health reliability check, instance status, attach EBS status. Okay, so there is a multiple things. Monitoring currently is disabled as you check. So there is no data no data will appear here. Okay, there's some security. What a security group are using. So here I'm just using for the testing purpose. So there's a default one. Port trains, TCP, source, everything you can check from here. Okay, networking, storage. Okay, so storage you just find out there is a two volumes attached. Okay, you can okay, let me explore one more thing. If you click on the volumes, so I'm on a US East 1. If you're talking about the AZ, then it is in a which AZ? US was sorry, US East 1D. Okay, which instance you attach both volumes? They have the similar instance. Okay, the second volume is not in a slice yet. It is in a 34%. Got it? There is some status check. Okay, iOS input auto enabled is disabled. Generally, this value is disabled for every EC2. Okay. I- The second part, let me cover the second part here as well. If I want to delete this volume and how we can attach this volume, I will cover this part in the next coming lecture, next video. Okay. So here, what we have done here, what is EC2, how we can create EC2 instance, okay, how we can, okay, let me cover one more thing. I'm going to create one volume and try to attach this existing EC2. When you are going to create one volume, then generally they ask, what's the volume type? GP3, volume size. I'm not going to create a 100 GB, I'm just going to create a 8 GB. You can, here you just need to check the ability zone. I will cover the ability zone in the upcoming video. Okay, but for this, I'm just going to create a same AG. Okay, tag, just give any tag name as your preference. Okay, name, test one, yeah, two. You can give any name. Create this volume. Okay, it's successfully created. Click on them. Click on the EC2 volume name, and this is created, not attached to any instance. The volume is in available state, not attached to any of the EC2 currently, any instance ID. Okay, but at this stage, AWS will charge because the volumes is in available state. So in your organization, if you found any volumes in available state, you can ask our seniors that this volume is available state and we need to clean up this volume as well as soon as possible. To for what purpose? To minimize our cost. Okay, so click on attach. Here's the attach volume. Click on attach. Then it asks the instance ID. So just click on the instance ID BBD. As I asked, you can this is the data volume, so you can provide any name. Okay, just click on the attach. So this volume now attached to the our EC2. Here earlier is the three volumes. Now sorry, earlier is the two volumes. Now is three volumes, and all volumes are in same AG. You say that US is 1D, US is 1D, US is 1D. Okay, so here we learned how we can create a EC2, how we can create a volume, and how we can attach the EC not EC2 attach the EBS volume to the existing EC2. Okay, okay. Let's jump to the questions. What the questions will ask in our interview? What the questions will cover from this video? Let's jump to the questions part. Let's jump to the first question. The first question is that what does EC2, what does AWS EC2 EBS? That means what is the EBS meaning here with the relation of EC2? And you know that what is the EC2? What is the full form EC2? Let me recall you that EC2 stand for the Elastic Cloud Compute. Okay, so Amazon EC2 instance persistent block storage. What is that? Persistent block storage volumes are offered via Amazon Elastic Block Store or storage, that is the EBS. So any operating system, when I'm talking about the any operating system, Linux, it's Windows. Okay, any operating system, any EC2 instance, any EC2 instance, they inside the same availability zone can be connected to the EBS. There is a main word, that is the same availability zone. Why I'm talking to same availability zone? Because when we create any EBS volume, they should be created in a same availability zone. Why I'm creating the EBS volume US East 1D? Because our EC2 instance inside the US East 1D. Okay, that's why I'm creating the EBS volume and attach that EBS volume to the existing EC2 instance. Okay, so the first question, and in the first question, the main part, that is same availability zone. We need to create a same, we need to create a EBS volume in the same availability zone so that we can attach that EC2 that EBS volume to the existing EC2 instance. Okay, let's jump to the next slide. How are EC2 instance monitored? Okay, so the most famous question in your interview may ask how your EC2 instance monitor. Okay, that's fine. You already create a EC2 instance, you already create a EBS volume. So how you can monitor it? So the simple question, that is a cloud watch. We can monitor our EC2 instance through the cloud watch. IOPS, IO, we can monitor everything through the CloudWatch. Okay, CloudWatch, a service that offers a real-time monitoring of AWS resource. EC2 is called a resource, na? Application, and can be used to monitor EC2 instance successfully. What CloudWatch does? It gathers and track the data, gathers and keeps an eye on the log files, create alarms, and responds automatically to the modification made to AWS services. Okay, if anything is happening in our with our EC2 or the EVS volume, why we are called our colleague or with himself that please check the logs, and how you can check the logs through the CloudWatch matrix, including the network traffic, disk read and write operation, CPU utilization. In many environment, we got an incident that the CPU utilization is high of that of one EC2 instance or one server. How we can know that? From the logs can be tracked by the CloudWatch for the EC2. Enabling comprehensive monitoring on the EC2 makes the data available in 1 minute interval instead of typical 5 minutes, which helpful for the depth insight. I mean, if you're going to troubleshoot for any server, any EC2 instance, then the simplest way, you just log into AWS and jump to the just type on the search bar just CloudWatch. Okay, what you need to type? CloudWatch. There's a multiple matrix appears there for the different services. Okay, let's jump to the next slide. The next slide is describe the life cycle of EC2. So the word explain it, life cycle. Which life cycle? I'm just talking about the EC2. We are going to describe the EC2 life cycle from where to where. Okay, from in one word, from creation to termination. From creation to termination. Okay, we are going to explain the life cycle of EC2 from where? From creation to termination. Okay, the life cycle of EC2 instance begin when it is launched and ends when it is terminated. Okay, after launching an instance goes through the pending state, just I saw in the mm, lecture, stays as it is prepared for use, that it is preparing, that is it is in initializing state. Once it ready, it enters the running state, as I already we saw in the lecture, where it is operational and can be accessed. Okay, when it is in running state, instance can be stopped and restart. We can stop and restart the machine. We can reboot the machine. I will discuss in the coming lecture how we can reboot the machine, how we can take a snapshot of running machines. Okay, how we can take a snapshot of EBS volume, everything. Moving between stop and running state without data loss on the EBS volume. Modifications such as changing the instance type. Generally, we can change the instance type in many scenarios when we need. Can we perform the while it's stopped? Finally, terminating an instance permanently removes it. Permanently, what remove it? It remove everything. Typically, delete any attached EBS volume unless the configured otherwise. Okay. When we are going to terminate the EC2 instance, I just explained in just if you back 2 or 3 minutes. When we terminate our EC2 instance, then it will terminate all the EBS attached to that to that EC2 instance. Let's an example. There is a EC2A and multiple volumes are attached. A1, A2, A3. Okay. A1 is the root volume. A2 is the data volume 1. A3 is the data volume 2. Okay. When we are going to terminate our EC2 instance, then it will terminate automatically the root volumes. Okay, but if you're talking about data 1 and data 2, there is a concept I just explained it, that is the delete on termination. There is an attribute delete or termination. If delete or termination attribute is yes, then all the volumes attached to that EC2 instance will automatically delete at the time of termination. But if the attribute of delete on termination is no, then we need to observe and delete it manually. Okay, got it. So I will here the next slide explain how can EC2 instance can be categorized. That means For which purpose we are using that EC2? Generally in our organization, I mean the many organization, we are using the general purpose, that is the GP3, okay, GP2, GP2, GP3. Hmm. So why we are using, that's the balance CPU, memory and networking suitable for the web servers and developer environments. There is some use cases I already mentioned here in the slide. Okay, compute optimized higher CPU, because for the different scenarios we are going to use a different AC2. Higher CPU, relative memory, ideal compute bond. Why we are using use cases like batch process. Memory optimization, where we are using this, like database. Storage optimization, where we are using this, right analytics, where there is a workload designed for the workloads that require the high sequential read and write operations, large set of database. Okay, the last, that is the accelerated computing. Okay, in such cases, such as GPU suitable for the graphics, running the data analysis. So there is a different category, and there's a different purpose of that EC2 configuration. Okay, let's. Oh, there is a most important questions, that is auto scaling. What is auto scaling and how we are using in our EC2 environment? Okay, so there is a word, that is a auto. There is a auto, that means automatically. You just correlate this word. Okay, you just go and correlate this word, auto scaling. Auto scaling ensures that the correct number of EC2 instances are available to handle the load for the applications. Load for the applications. That means when it required, then it will increase the EC2 numbers, it will increase the instance number, it will increase the EVS, it will increase the load. Okay, but when it's not required, they just go and decrease it. This scenario you can I mean easily saw in your EKS cluster. What is? I will explain what is EKS cluster and how it does work. But in inward you can easily saw in this EKS cluster. Okay, it automatically adjusts the amount of computational resource based on the volume of user traffic or other specific conditions. There is a some word that's user traffic. If number of users more, then it will increase our EC2 numbers. This not only improves the application ability and fault tolerance, you need to learn about this fault tolerance, but also help minimize the cost by adding the resource only when needed and terminating them when they are not. That's the main catch here. Also help minimize the cost by adding the resource only when needed and terminating them when they are not. That means when we need it, then they adding the resource, and when they are not needed, they just remove them. Okay. Auto scaling can be configured to maintain the health and performance of all instances in the group to health checks. Sorry, replacing the instance that are terminated and otherwise become the unhealthy. Okay. So there's a few questions. I just covered only the 5 questions. I will cover all. I mean most of the questions in the coming lecture. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, if you find doubt, please put in the chat. I will go through the your comments and make a video on that one as well. Thanks for watching.